Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello, and a warm welcome to an interesting topic. Many across the globe are very much interested when this program has been announced. As usual, Mr. Rajendran, when he wrote something in my WhatsApp, first I was confused. What is this? Steel, knuckles, what is this? I said. Then immediately said, Mr. Ravichandran will explain. This is what we are going to discuss, what is happening in Ukraine and with our economy, and how dollar, the trading currency across the globe, how that is influencing or wrongfully influencing or influencing only a few or take away all the fortunes of the citizens of Indians and the world in a hidden with a hidden agenda, that is cryptocurrency or whatever it is, related or unrelated, but the fortunes of the people are going to go away. Is this true or not? Interestingly, when I was trying to pay through my normal debit card or attached that bank credit card, I was unable to make payments until and unless I went through this UPI mode, wherein the balance, the payment was again done through the same bank, but not directly from the card. This is what is happening now. For a simple layman, now everything is trying to be pulled into that digital, and which is controlled by only one or two, and there our investment, their fortune, which you will not be able to witness either through Swiss bank because it is going to go crypto. And why is it directly related to dollar? Ukraine war, is it all an excuse? No matter, innocent lives have been lost, two precious Indian student lives have been lost, our heart goes with them. So this narration, logically, in a truthful way, let us try to understand from the honorable guest of the today. As usual, V.Rajendran ji is the most esteemed and wonderful guest for this channel. As and when we need something, when it relates to cyber, he is an advocate as well as a technocrat. He is always there for us. Welcome, sir. Along with him, we have S.N. Ravichandran ji, cyber crime analyst. You have heard him last time also. Now you are going to hear more from him. Versatile and well versed. Welcome, sir. And once of all, the one who trains the best of the brains who have to control law and order, now the latest cyber crimes, Mr. Logesh Babu, he is again back, and he tries to simplify so that the commonest of the common can understand the nitty-gritty of this changing fortune of every citizen. Welcome, sir. And another guest from Coimbatore, he is Murugappan, a stock exchange broker, also participating. Welcome, sir. Rajendran ji, please. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Very nice to hear from you, Dr. Reddy. In fact, somehow in the past 2-3 months, I have been, I somehow feel that there's been more frequent than expected. First, we did a show sometime in November. It so happened that we had to do it. So once again, the same topic, going a little more deeper. And Dr. Reddy, somehow he has been quite encouraging, quite motivating to us. He has been telling us that our show is a very big hit. People are looking more to it. Why don't we go deeper and explain it? So from that angle, we did a couple of shows more. Then we did again a couple of shows more. Okay, now, today, the hot topic in the past 10 to 12 days, other than the UP Manipur election, which took the media attention for about 2 days, 3 days, before that, the 5 days before that, and again back to the general war news. Everybody is speaking about the Ukraine war, Russia war, and all that. So indirectly, we would say that we as a nation are not directly involved in it. We do have a lot of stake in it. We do have much stake in it. Whoever wins or whoever loses, whether it is Russia at fault or Ukraine at fault, or whether US is indirectly supporting, whether China was indirectly instigating or motivating or supporting or keeping quiet, or I mean, indirectly within bracket somehow giving a effect that I'm not supporting, but indirectly China would be happy if he wins or she wins or she loses. That's right. Let's not go deeper into the foreign exchange. I mean, or the foreign affairs, or the diplomacy point of the war. As a cyber law expert and as a data privacy, not expert, as a data privacy a student and a cyber law analyst, I'm more concerned about the war and its impact on the impact it will have on India with respect to the cryptocurrency, data privacy, data localization, and the Make in India initiative. Only with regard to these five topics, to be very precise, I'm going to focus just about 1 or 2 minutes on every topic. What the effect the war is going to have on India's Make in India initiative. Now, an interesting follow-up from this war is that I think about 3 days back, the MNCs, I would say, companies which call themselves as MNCs, they said that they are not going to back Russia in their initiatives of technology, something like Facebook or Google or Microsoft. We all know that the HP, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Facebook or WhatsApp won't be Facebook. They they don't claim themselves as a US company. They claim themselves as multinational companies. Now, when you call yourself as the multinational company, basically you want to be recognized as a commercial entity and not as a US government entity. This is a war between US and Russia. I'm not going into whether US is right. This is not a direct war between US and Russia, in fact. This is not a directly US-Russia war. This is a direct war between Russia and Ukraine, and US is supporting Ukraine, so anti-Russian. So, in such a scenario, calling yourself as an MNC and not as a US company, why should you take the side of one particular nation, the nation where you have registered office, then say that I'll not make my services available in Russia, putting Russia in a very major predicament. Suppose had this been to China, here I would say that China has been extremely smart that about 20, 30 years back itself, China has been very smart, very careful that China, Google is not there in China, Facebook is not there in China, Microsoft operating system is not there in China. So any US company which says that I want support it, China is going to be blissfully happy about it. Completely happy because I'm not going to be affected because however much India calls itself as make in India, we are already made in China. Everybody in China is ours. So I'm not dependent upon it. Now, what is the effect? Suppose these US companies calling themselves as MNCs suddenly, unfortunately, I mean, let us not think about that scenario, but unfortunately, God forbid, such a thing should not happen. But unfortunately, if India is to face some kind of a sanction from US, and these MNCs immediately jump into the fray and said that we are going to support US sanctions against India, we will not support our Microsoft or Facebook or Google or HP, any such thing in India. What will happen to India now? We have been talking about Make in India all these years, right? In 1952 or 53, one famous song from Raj Kapoor film, Mera Juta Hai Japani, Ye Patloon Hindustani, Sir pe laal topi rosi, fir bhi dil hai Hindustani. Very famous song from Raj Kapoor, which is doing around even about, 78 years of fixing. The people, very popular again. Now, we say that the data, the hard disk we use in India is not from ours. The cable and everything is not from India. The cable, or the sound card, everything is from China or Taipei, Taiwan, and all that. The antivirus, perhaps, with the exception of some Indian antivirus, most of them are from Russia and other countries. And the operating system and the OS search engine is from US. So, what is Indian? Only the data is Indian. India has been living in this scenario for about 25, 30 years, and we, people, enthusiastic cyber security students like myself, Ravichandran, and many judicial officers. In fact, I would like to go and record that it was in 2000. 2004 or 2005, Ravi will correct me, 2004 or 2005, a person known as Abdul Kalam, he himself said that India should popularize our own OS called the Bharat Operating System, very interestingly called BOSS, developed by CDAC, Center for the Development of Advanced Computing, a Government of India initiative. It was an operating system which was supposed to considered to be a competition to Microsoft Windows. Where has it gone now? Why was India not able to market it even about 15, 16 years of its development and deployment? Some of the ministries were even reported to be using it in 2007, 8, 2009 and all that. But somehow everything went down the drain. Now everybody in the ministry, they are using only Microsoft Windows product. And unfortunately, however much people like us cry, there are many government officials who use even at their name at gmail.com itself. Gmail is a completely US company, Google. Why can't the government officials at least use their email ID at nic.in, at nic, at gov.in, something like that, which is the government of India mail server. Okay, let's not go deeper into it. Now, what is the impact this kind of stand will have? The stand taken by the MNCs. Suppose such a thing were to happen in India, where does India stand? This is the genuine concern that I have. I'm just taking this August forum to share my concern. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm sharing my concern. I'm really worried. What will happen to India? Why is India not taking the government initiative Make in India very serious? Now, these things also do have an impact on crypto as well. We have been speaking about cryptocurrencies for for a few months right now. Most of these transactions, completely crypto is unregulated, unmonitored. So even your operating system is not yours. The transactions behind this are not going to be yours. They cannot even be monitored by yours. Then what is the stand that India is going to take? How is India prepared to face this onslaught? How is India prepared to face this serious attack? There are actually some good initiatives taking place in India, right from 2013 when Manmohan Singh was there, he started India own payment gateway in the form of rupee, but it was only conceptualized, and subsequently in 2014, July, August, when the NDA government, Modi came to power, he took it as a very serious initiative. All the banks in India were told to encourage rupee only, which was considered to be a competition to Visa and Master, because both Visa and Master, they together account for 90 to 93% of the entire world trading card industry. And every bank in India has to depend only upon Visa or Master, and both the databases were in US. So Indian bank card database was handled by the US. But very fortunately, thanks to the initiatives of the government of India on Make in India initiatives and other things in place, now RuPay has gone. RuPay, which is an initiative of National Payment Corporation of India, a wholly owned company of RBI, wherein the data is in India, being processed in India. RuPay is giving a tough fight to Visa and Master. It has already overtaken its market share in India. Very good move. Similarly, we have to think of the lines on the computer operating system, the hard disk manufacturing, the software, or the search engine, or social networking sites, or the Twitter kind of microblogging site like Who also many companies are using it. So these are all the concerns which I thought I can share in this one. The next concern I would like to share is data localization. The proposed Data Privacy Act. This act has been envisaged right from 2006 itself, about 2017, after 11 years of the mooting of the point, 2017, that Sri Krishna panel was there. That panel submitted its report in 18 July. Subsequently, one committee was formed. Committee actually gave us, Meenakshi Lekhi committee, it gave us joint parliamentary committee. Subsequently, she was given some other assignment. Then P.P. Chaudhary, another MP from Rajasthan, he heads the committee now. Now it has come the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019, 2020, 2021 bill also has come. It has still not been passed. Still, there is a powerful lobby which wants the bill not to be passed, putting spokes at some point or other. Now, recently, about 1 week back, this ITU, EMU, International Telecommunication Union, Asia Public Telecommunity, they have their Indian registered office, not exactly Indian registered office, the Indian agency which takes care of IT in Barakamba Road in New Delhi. They say that the proposed act does not have any exemption for foreign nationals whose data will be in India. The question of concerned nationalists are, why should the foreign nationals having data in India be exempt? So long as their data is here, the data localization should be there. Nobody should be exempt. Indian government should rightfully, legitimately and lawfully have a hold on all the data, irrespective of the owner. When an Indian has the data in US, when an Indian company has the data in US or in GDPR, from European Union, the GDPR very much applies to them. Similarly, when foreign companies have the data in India, this foreign company's data also should be subject to our own rules of personal data protection. But the act has not come. Even before the act is coming, what I'm trying to tell you is that there is a powerful lobby. So let me go back to my point number one now. The first para, where I started, make in India. Ultimately, we all feel that a powerful India will be the one which is self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar India, make in India. You try to have your own operating system, your own search engine, your own social networking site, and don't be bothered about Russia, Ukraine war, what is the impact it will have on all. With this, I thank Dr. Reddy for giving me the opportunity. I think this lays the foundation for my more learned colleague like Ravichandran and the other colleague Logesh Babu to throw more light or whatever points I have thrown over. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, Mr. Ravichandran ji, I think he has set the tone very wonderfully well. Atmanirbhar, make in India. They should not become misnomers. Rupaya, I am telling you, now it has vanished from our local Indian airports also. They are not accepting Rupaya cards, for your information. And we are not being given Rupaya card, what should I say, debit cards also. They are again back with Visa and Masters. Very unfortunately. Everything is changing. That is what I am telling you. Is this the way to digitalize globally? Are we going to be enslaved once for all? Yes, Ravichandran ji. I will have your.
Can you put on that slide?
Yeah.
Can you put on that slide, please?
Yes, please.
So before I go to the slide portion of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Yeah, please.
Before I go to the slide portion of it, there are two quick points that I want to make to Mr. Rajendran's talk. I am also part of that lobby which is against the Data Privacy Act in its present form. For several reasons, because it directly violates my privacy. The government has taken extraordinary powers to ensure that even if I go to the bathroom, the government is there. And I have objections to that.
Yeah.
Secondly, Mr. Rajendran was talking about RuPay and other things. I just want to ask him one question. Where are the bank data stored? Are they in the cloud or on the servers in India, or does the bank know where it is stored? If it is in the cloud, then it is either on Microsoft or Amazon or some other American company. And if America sanctions India, then all that data will be available to the US, number one, and none of that data will be available to us. That means banks will have to shut up. This is the greatest danger. Now I'll go to this thing. Can you put on the first slide, please? The golden rule of business. The golden rule of business is the man who has the gold, he will make the rules. Now, in this table that I have given, the first 10 countries and their gold holdings in foreign exchange reserves, starting with United States at 8,133 tons, it goes on. Russia comes somewhere on the 5th place with 2,298 tons, and India comes in the 10th place with 687 tons of gold. But there is a small difficulty here. China is rated at the 6th position with 1,948 tons. but this is all reported gold. There is a lot of unreported gold holdings held by China, and that is exceeding 15,000 tons,
My God.
which means it is way and over what even America has. India has something around 700 and odd tons, and this is not counting the gold that is available with individuals inside the country. And if you take that also into account, it will come anywhere between 15 to 18,000 tons. In between China, Russia, and India, we are probably holding around 30% or 40% of the gold reserves of the entire world. Now, where does US come in? It is reported that it has got 8,133 tons. But the difficulty is the gold reserves in US has not been audited for the last 50, 60 years. Nobody has an idea about what the gold is available in US. I doubt whether even the US government is aware of it. And the second thing is, and this is more revealing, the US government in one of its information bulletin has said that the gold in US, which is available in US, is melted gold coins of purity 90%. It is not good delivery gold. Good delivery gold comes at 99%. Initially, when the Bretton Woods agreement was signed in 1948, US had a lot of gold. And using that gold, they came out with that Marshall's Plan, and they started the dollar became the reserve currency of the world. In 1960, late 1960s, during the Vietnam War, America was running short of money. So they wanted to print dollars. So immediately Nixon said, no more gold backing. And prior to that also, the European countries were asking for the gold back, some of the gold back. And when US started giving that gold, they found that their reserves were going down, and at that point Nixon said, no more gold backing. Now the difficulty arises. America by itself, we don't know how much gold they are having. If it is 90% purity, then the quantity of gold that America is holding is actually only around 6.5 to 7,000 tons. It is not 8,100 tons. Now, for the last 3-4 years, right from 2013, when the sanctions were first applied on Russia, Russia decided to de-dollarize its foreign exchange reserves. And they have slowly brought it down to just something around 28, 29%. And they have increased their gold holdings to something around 23%. Now Russia is holding all its gold reserves inside Russia, unlike India. India, we are holding 470 odd tons of gold in London, 292 tons in Reserve Bank of India in India. Now, what happens if some sanction is applied and United Kingdom or United States put a freeze on the foreign exchange? Just imagine. 2/3 of our gold will be frozen. 2/3 of our gold reserves will be frozen. That means the first step that India has to take is bring back the gold from London back to India. Immediately they have to do it, because the stupidity of the Americans in imposing across the board sanctions on Russia, it is not going to hurt Russia in any manner, because 23% of their foreign exchange reserves is already inside the country. About 15% of their foreign exchange holdings is with China, which means roughly around 48%, 23 plus 15, 38%. And some large amount is with Germany. Now, Germany cannot do without American oil, Russian oil. 40% of Russian gas and oil is being supplied to Europe. 40% of the wheat is being supplied to Europe. If they stop Russians, if they impose these sanctions, like cutting Russia off from SWIFT, incidentally, even though it has been announced that Russian banks are no longer in this SWIFT system, the actual position is oil and energy have been left out. Which means that banks which are dealing with oil and energy transfers, they are still in the SWIFT. They are still in the SWIFT system. They cannot be taken out because the SWIFT system can exclude a bank fully. They cannot exclude transactions. So this is an issue, even though the Americans are saying that Russia is out of the SWIFT system, in practice, Russia cannot be excluded out of the SWIFT system because if they are excluded, then payments for the gas and oil that Germany is purchasing from Russia even today, actually the quantity of gas being supplied to Germany has gone up after the Ukraine war, which they are purchasing, that they will not be able to do it. Now, coming to the other side of the story, Russia itself has developed its own SWIFT mechanism system. It is called a System Financial Management Messaging System or something like that, SFPS or something like that. Similarly, China has already developed its CIPS. Now, if they integrate both of these, then the position is Russia can still purchase through China in terms of renminbi or yuan, which means the sanction will not be effective. Effectively, it means that the sanctions will not be effective. And the more interesting factor is Saudi Arabia and UAE, they are planning to get out of this dollar business, petrodollars, as Mr. Rajendran was saying, and they are planning to do in some other currency. That they are planning it right now. Then what was the point in putting these sanctions? The net result of this sanction is, like I said, it is a very stupid move. Because, number one, it is America. If these countries, now most of the countries are now aware that America, if they put sanctions, they can stop your entire thing, Google, Amazon, everything can bring it down and your economy will come to a standstill. So what they will now do is diversify. Already China has signed agreements with 28 countries on a direct nation-to-nation currency exchange. That means dollar is not in the picture at all. Similarly, Russia has signed agreements with Iran, India, Pakistan, China, and several other countries, excluding the dollar. Now, if every country starts excluding the dollar, then the dollar will no longer be the reserve currency of the world, which means borrowing costs for the American public will go up. Now, the American economy is a debt-driven economy. People take debts to spend, and it is a consumer-driven economy. If consumers stop buying, that economy will collapse. Now you are increasing the interest cost. What will happen to the consumer spending and what will happen to the debts that people have taken? We are looking at another 2008 now. And this has been initiated by the American government. At the end of the day, it is America which is going to get hurt and not Russia. And even gold production, when I take, you can go to the next slide, please.
Yeah.
When I take gold production, China is the maximum gold producer at 380 tons. Russia is producing something around 320 tons. America is producing only about 190 tons. In between China and Russia, they are taking 20% of the total gold production worldwide. South Africa is a big player. South Africa has not supported these sanctions. Brazil has not supported these sanctions, which means more than a large part of the world has not supported these sanctions except for America and a few countries in the Western Europe sector. Now, recently, 3-4 days back, after this US sanctions have started biting in, Russia has gone in for purchase of gold. Now, what is the plan? Why should Russia now start purchasing gold? They have already decided that they are going to issue, in conjunction with China or without Chinese assistance, they are planning to issue central bank digital currency backed by gold. And this currency, they are planning to use it for all international transactions, which means the dollar is going to get out of the entire world scene itself. In between China and Russia, they will determine that. Now, because China is one of the largest economies, it is much bigger than Russia, it is quite possible that Chinese renminbi or the Chinese yuan will become the reserve currency. And if that happens, then there is no point in passing this Data Privacy Act in India, because all our data will be with China. It is already there, but all our financial data will also go there. That's all. Now, this is the scenario that I am looking at. We can go to the next slide. So at the end of the day, I get the feeling that all the sanctions is just some the showmanship which America is doing to protect itself, and it is using Ukraine to fight against Russia. It is not a war between Russia and Ukraine. It is a war between Russia and America. America is fighting a proxy war through Ukraine. Like in our Tamil films, we have a comedian. And that comedian, when he goes to fight with somebody, he takes 10 people along with him. And when he goes and meets that rowdy over there and starts to fight him and looks around, nobody is there behind him. This is Ukraine's position. This is Ukraine's position. They have been pushed forward by the NATO.
Ravi, it was a good one. I don't know how many people may be able to appreciate your humor there. I mean, not a humor, matter of fact, but factual statement.
No, Ukraine is crying horse now. No one is supporting them. Take them into European Union. No one is coming. Suppliers arms. Suppliers arms. No one is coming forward.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Unfortunately, even though I didn't mean it, it is a comedian who is the president of Ukraine now.
He was a comedian.
He was a stand-up comedian.
He was a comedian to start
with. He was a stand-up comedian. The Ukraine president was a stand-up comedian. And not a very good one also. Because I have seen some of his shows also.
Okay.
The issue is, now he has got caught with his pants down in the middle. And he does not know where to go. Now, the point that Russia is trying to make by destroying Ukraine, they have destroyed Ukraine. They have been bombing these cities left, right and center. And what did NATO do? They all said that we'll give you some helmets. This is Germany's contribution to Ukraine. France has given 5 armored carriers to Ukraine. Belgium has given 2,000 guns. I don't know whether they gave the bullets.
Yeah.
And Poland said, we will give you MiG-29 aircraft. And America said, no, you cannot give. Now, Putin had 3 things in mind when he went into Ukraine. Number 1 was expose NATO's impotence. That he has done it very clearly. Secondly, he wanted to expose America, saying that it is not a reliable partner. That also he has succeeded in that. And the third one is, he wanted to send a message to Ukraine, Baltic states, Sweden, Finland, and all these people who have joined NATO. Brothers, you are next on the list. If you don't listen to me, you see what is happening in Ukraine. Now, today, Sweden and Finland, they have applied for NATO. Now they are having second thoughts about it. So, essentially, what the Americans have done is, like a cowboy in the Western films, they have taken out their gun very fast, and instead of shooting the opponent, they have shot their friend, Europe. Today, Europe is going to bear the brunt of the Russian anger, and America will be in across the Atlantic watching the fun. And the unfortunate thing was, I don't know whether you people saw Kamala Harris, the vice president, talking in Poland.
She was laughing.
When a reporter asked her, "Will America take the Ukrainian refugees?" she laughed. She laughed. So now let Ukraine understand how the US this thing is. This is an unfortunate situation. What America has done is, like a jihadi who has got a nuclear bomb in his hand and exploded it as a suicide bomber, Americans have taken the economic power that they had and exploded it like a suicide bomber, a nuclear suicide bomber. That's the only difference. A jihadi will use an ordinary TNT or an explosive where only a few people will get hurt. America has exploded an economic nuclear bomb which will affect the entire world. And this entire economic landscape will change. This is the net result of what is. Now, here I have given you Russian foreign exchange distribution and location. If you see that, gold, 23% of the gold makes of the foreign exchange is stored in Russia itself. Then 29%, the next highest currency that they have is in euros, and that is stored probably in Germany. That Germany has got a lot of this thing. That is about this right hand side. You will have that location this thing also. So, and most of this Germany's money has to go to Russia because they are purchasing energy from them. Germany cannot stop it. Which means this 29.2% of the euro that is there in their foreign exchange reserves, this is also available to the Russians. Yuan, 7.2% with China, they have it there. UK, 6.3 sterling pound. It is as good as writing it off. Because anyway, the pound is crashing. So there is no point in talking about it. 21% of the foreign exchange reserves are in dollars. That is what America has seized. And others are 12.8%. That nobody can do anything about it. Now this is the position. Now Russia has got 23% of the gold in their own country. About 15% of the other currencies, they have placed it in China. And others, they have placed it in Japan. Germany, they have to get it from Germany, America, UK, Austria, and others. Others, about 15%. So roughly around 50 to 55% of the foreign exchange reserves, Russia can take it anytime they want. And the rest of it, what America has frozen, even that Russia can access through bitcoins or cryptocurrencies or Ethereum. Ethereum, now China has got a major portion of the Ethereum, so they will be able to help Russia in getting gold for that. Now, what happens to Europe? 40% of their energy needs are being met by Russia. Now, if they say we don't want Russian oil or Russian gas, Russia will simply turn around and say, ask China to take it. China is a oil deficient and gas deficient country, and they have got the money to pay for it also. So all that they have to do is put a pipeline from Russia to China. China will fund it also and give the oil to this thing. And at some point in time, if Europe wants this gas or this oil, then they will have to beg for it. Same thing. 40% of the wheat that is supplying to Europe is coming from Ukraine or Russia. Now, if Russia stops that, what are the Europeans going to eat? Winter is coming. Without gas, without oil, how can they survive? Without bread, how can they survive? And more interesting is, most of the barley that goes to the making of beer comes from Russia. Do you think that any German will say, okay, I am not going to have beer from tomorrow morning? There will be riots in Germany if beer is not available. All these things the Americans did not think about, unfortunately. American military industries, American industries and military installations, they have made money by selling obsolete guns, missiles, which has gone off the shelf, which have gone beyond their shelf life, they have sent it to Ukraine. Now, how are the Ukrainians going to use it without being trained on it? What is the point in giving fully loaded MiG-29 to Ukraine when they don't have an airfield to land the aircraft on? What is the point in giving a big destroyer ship to Ukraine when they don't have the ports to bring it? This is what America has done to Ukraine. And if the European countries are wise enough, and some of them are really wise enough, they will have to tell America, you please go home to Yankee, go home. And leave Europe, we will take care of Europe among Europeans ourselves. You please don't interfere in our affairs. This is the thing that Europe needs to tell America. And there is a huge historical baggage that US has, which is it is not disclosing. Apart from all this, America has, see, people don't think about all these things. The Wuhan virus in China, the template for that virus was given by an American, Dr. Ralph. The funding was given by an American, Dr. Fauci, who is now preaching on the TV on how to fight the virus. America has funded, given money, and technologically assisted the Chinese in preparing the virus. The Chinese only deployed it. And the same thing, they have done it in Ukraine also. In Ukraine also, they have set up biolabs. America has funded it, and technically they have contributed to it. And today, they have been caught with their hands in the fire by the Russians. Because it is all documented, they have the documents. Now they can't say, oh no, this, that, and all that. And like they suppressed the investigation in China, they can't do it here because they have already antagonized Russia. So this is an issue. Now, how does it affect India? Like Mr. Rajendran said, Google, Amazon, we are dependent upon all of them. Now it's high time that we get out of their clutches. Number one. Digital economy, digital this thing, it sounds very nice. But I have been saying it since 2009 that without the basic infrastructure, there is no point in talking about digital India. If the day when we start manufacturing semiconductors, only then we should be talking about digital India. Till then, I would say, go back to our old method of accounting. Take a book, big ledger, and write on that. At least we'll have that book in hand. Today, most of the banks have put their data on the cloud. If Amazon says tomorrow morning sanctions, data will go off. then I would like to see the fun that is going on in this country. Then we will see how the finance minister collects 30% of tax on bitcoins.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Without wasting time, Lokesh Babuji, I think you are the expert in these things. Now, how do you look at this after Mr. Rajendran ji, and it has been echoed very logically with evidences
First
by
First
Mr.
of all, tons of thanks to Mr. Ravichandran sir for giving us such a elaborated speech on the situation where the globe is facing now. And I'd like to add a few things related with Mr. Rajendran sir regarding, since we are cyber evangelists, I speak more on the area of cybers. So I'll directly go with that point.
Yep.
See, generally what happens is, suddenly Russia says we'll not use Facebook, we'll not use these American apps like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and so on, so on. So they have stopped completely, and they have started using their own softwares like the vk.com or their own browsing softwares or social media pages on their own. But in consideration with India, I had a doubt of celebrating independence also, because they are completely dependent on some other country on the cyber world. See, for example, why do we use internet? For few things, I'll just list it out. For searching new things, browsing new things, for banking, e-commerce like Amazon, Flipkart, or some other things like that. For e-commerce one, banking also comes with Google Pay, Phone Pay, and all other things. And apart from all the other things, the communication one. All the four is the major part of using internet. A rare percentage of people use apart from this. When we search in the Google, it says only 4 to 5% of the internet being used by the general public. That is we all. What happens to 95% is still hidden. They say dark web, deep web. We'll not go inside that. That will be too technical. This 4% of internet which is being used by the common man, the mass population of India, all the four areas, like take it as email, we all use Gmail, which is not an Indian one. Suddenly they say because these emails are given for free, suddenly they say we are not going to give emails for free. We'll get a huge stuck, because all our emails is connected to the banks, is connected with all other areas. Even our mobile phone, which we are using, is connected with the email account, which is not belongs to an Indian email account. Like payment apps or the banking apps, they use Google Pay, which because it is faster than the Indian bank service. For example, I have hold an Indian bank account. I do not use Indian bank account to transfer money from one account to another account. I use Google Pay because that is more faster. That is due to various reasons. Let us not go too deep into that. These types of bankings for e-commerce areas, the same thing happens. Apart from all other things, for browsing areas, very few people know there are hundreds and hundreds of browsers when compared to Google Chrome or Google browsers or Safari or whatever the main browser, 2, 3 browsers, hundreds and browsers, which is very active because we are not aware of that. So what I'm trying to say is, we are not dependent. The Republic of India is not independent. We are still dependent on something else, some other countries, for our dependence. Change to secure our nation in future. Else, we will not be in a position to fight against it, because we will be always in dependence with some other countries for the things. Like as Russia took a strong decision, will not support Facebook, will not let all things get completed, will not commit. That thing India cannot take, because just imagine if from tomorrow WhatsApp is not working, what a lot of riot will happen. If tomorrow my Facebook is not working, see, the 99% of the Indians use these types of apps for their communication. It might be, see, even if TikTok is being closed by India, Tamil Nadu state government or Indian state government, still people are using VPN technology to use that. They are getting so much of addicted. See, we are all became addicted to all these things. Like, it might be Gmail account, it might be Google account, it might be a social media pages, like any social media pages, from Facebook to Instagram or Twitter, anything else. Apart from this, using this Google Pay and all other things, everything has been dependent on something else. Cryptocurrency was also emerged, and we'll again be dependent on someone else. But this time, we'll not know who we are going to depend on. As cryptocurrency is decentralized and we don't have anyone capture for some reasons, we'll cryptocurrency is being initiated in India and they've started using it, we'll again get stuck. We're not going to know who we are going to depend. Now we are depending on something which country which is not in the Indian supporter. But after cryptocurrency has been purely initiated, we'll be in a position where we'll not be able to understand what exactly that is, and we'll not able to blame anyone even if the cryptocurrency is being initiated. So this is the condition. In this condition, our Indian government should support the public or should support the mass population in getting their own softwares. Like he has clearly pointed out once, Mr. Dr. Abdul Kalam says that we should have our own OS operating systems. These types of things has to be implemented to safeguard Indian data. Say, of course, there is nothing called safeguarding because all the data has been completely given to everything, whichever the thing which is connected to the internet is being in someone's server and they are using it for their own purpose. At least in future, the next generation data may be secured if we have our own databases or if we have our own infrastructures on the basic operating systems like OS or operating financial areas. This has to be improved. That is my small light to be thrown on my friend's Mr. Rajendran's speech. That's it.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. What everyone is trying to echo is why
Sir,
not?
switch on your mic, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, please.
Why not? So everyone is trying to contribute. Where is Atmanirbhar Make in India? Yeah, it was good one and sweet, and because the commoners will understand the essence of it, and we are doing this show as Mr. Ravichandran and Rajendran ji has presented. The essence of all this show is Make in India. Is it visible? Atmanirbhar, is it visible? Rupaya, is it visible? What is this Paytm, Google, apps, Paytm? For a matter, maybe Adani and all floated, but again the technology, the inherited technology is someone else's. You are giving all the data to third world countries. You are not trusting India and Make in India. So everything is going out. Then what should we do? Now how, see, dollar, it is like a self goal. We call in doctors paribhasha autolysis, self-destruction. By making Russia to go into Ukrainian war, the dollar, now it has been exposed. What is the gold reserves US has, Europe has, China, Russia and India has. Now everyone will understand how strong Americans are. But to give you another fact, with the information which I have, American reserves, because Canada and all, they consider the rich, oil rich and all, though many Europeans are settled in Canada, I am told Americans, even in that position when 2009, when that bombing, transport planes bombed their twin towers, that time I came to know Americans have reserves wherein they can create 7 types of that type of America. 7 types of America. Even if you entirely demolish America, they have such reserves wherein they can build modern America. But now what is visible? Because you need to have a tactful, resonant leadership for Americans. Resonant in the sense, live and let you policy should be there. One point. Now how do you think in this condition, do you think we will just wind up in 10 minutes time? How do you think that this declining dollar will have a telling influence not only on Americans, on the world? One point, Rajendran ji. We will finish it.
Will it have an impact on?
If the dollar
What exactly you wanted to know?
on Americans themselves and the world at large, because in India, because we have many non-resident Indians. India is a big country wherein
No. See, basically, fundamentally, from an economic perspective also, I would say there is a fundamental difference between Indian economy and US economy and the Japanese economy. Japanese economy has always been a very conservative economy. Very conservative, they don't spend, they save a lot. Even if you tell them we won't pay any interest, still they save. Even if you, or even the government tells them that they don't save, we will penalize you for saving, even then they'll keep saving. Because Japanese has been a very traditional conservative economy of saving and not spending. Exactly opposite is US economy. Even for their day-to-day food and pizzas and burgers and hotels and cafes and restaurants, they pay through credit card. So that even for their daily routine of coffee, tea, and cocoa, coke, and all that, they'll be paying after about 30, 35 days. Certainly, Indians, they don't pay their normal food, etc., expenditure in the water through credit card. Because Indians use the credit card, but not, as voluminously like US or as thoroughly like Japan. So Indian economy is somewhere in between. It's a very balanced economy. There is something positive about it. But something very negative about US is that if the Japan stops to supply its product, US will crash. Because in one of these slides where Ravichandran was showing it, it was very quite interesting to know that US gold is, they say is good enough, but even that is not audited, even assuming what they say their gold results is okay, but their foreign exchange position has always been not very satisfactory, and of late it is really bad, really bad. They are in deep in debt. But one thing is that they are such a big, voluminous kind of a consumer that that is an irresistible temptation to consumption. The world's biggest producer can sell only to them. Because when you produce tons and tons and very voluminous quantity of something, you naturally you need a very big consumer to take all the product. Otherwise, what the point of you produce? So that is why countries like Japan and to some extent China also, I would say, and of course India, they depend on US economy so that even the US economy can keep buying from India, can continue to live blissfully under their heavy imports and debt. This is one thing about US economy. But here the process, here this is not an economic issue. What we are now discussing, it's an economic, techno, legal, international issue. There are four aspects. One is the economic issue. The second is the technology issue. On the economic issue, I would say that India is confident, comfortable. On the economic issues, comfortable. But on the technology issue, I would not say that India is confident. India has to be confident. India is not, unfortunately. And on the international issue, I would say, again, India is not very comfortable. Because I cannot with certainty say that such a kind of sanction which has come to Ukraine or Russia may not come to India. There is a very, very remote possibility, possibly even less than 5%, less than even 1%, I would say. But that risk is always there. Why should we face that risk? There's an international angle to it. And again, the legal angle. Is Indian law empowered to tackle the situation? I mean, with the Data Privacy Act being discussed for about 2-3 years, which is not going to come, or perhaps there's a powerful lobby working on it. And then the moment, sometime when the government speaks of what is of curbs, the entire media, everybody tries words on the root of saying that it is going to be an infringement of their privacy, infringement of their freedom of expression and all that. So, from an economic perspective, from a legal perspective, from an international perspective, from a technology perspective, from all these four angles, we have to look at the issue. Only one, I would say, comfortable. Other three areas, we are not comfortable.
Yep.
This is a concern which people like us have been expressed. Right. It's a really worrying fact, which we express.
Yeah, Ravichandran ji. Anyhow, as you rightly said, data privacy. Where is the question of data privacy? Everything is stored in Amazon, iCloud, or some nonsense. And these people talking about data.
Different from Ravichandran. The public sector bank, they are not storing the data on Amazon Cloud or Microsoft Cloud.
But
Microsoft Cloud, Amazon public sector bank, they come under the core banking system.
And
the core banking server is only with India. And the data localization for the banks, though it is an important ingredient of the Data Privacy Act, which is yet to come, the data localization for the public sector has already been given as a circular by Reserve Bank of India, and all the banks, public sector banks, all the banks, by public sector, all the banks are actually abiding by. Indian banks' data are not in US companies' cloud.
But again, here also, I'm trying to bring it to your notice.
I have a doubt on the statement given by Rajendran sir. And as soon as I open my Google Pay and search for the account balance is showing, my account balance is shown in the Google Pay.
That's what. Because by merging of banks,
my account balance, it might be any account that has been shown in my Google Pay. Right? How is that possible? Can you just explain as short as?
No. One second. Google Pay is not a payment gateway is not a payment aggregator as enlisted or as enumerated by RBI. Google Pay actually
That is
sits
right. That is right.
one of the
We cannot
payment
file,
gateway.
we cannot file a case against Google Pay because they are not come under regulator. I don't go in that area. I'm just asking a
Okay.
small question. How
It
does
is a
Google
data.
Pay knows
It
my
is a
account
data
balance?
taken from your basic bank account. Basically, you have a bank account. The bank account detail has been taken by the Google Pay and is being given to you. Why do you say your data is not localized? Does it mean that your entire data has gone to US?
No.
It doesn't
No.
mean that.
I
It doesn't mean that.
can see my balance. I can see my
It is a
last
big Oracle server.
No, Rajendran ji,
It is
you're
a
not.
big Oracle server,
No, no.
database server. That aspect is being taken by the Google Pay and being given to you. That's
Right.
Ah.
Which means your server is in India. I can access the server, but that is Google Pay can access my server and get the data and show it to me. Correct.
yeah, I'm showing to you.
Which means as soon as they take the data from the bank server and they can also keep it in their server because they are taking and keeping it as a record. Whenever you ask the Google Pay, it will show the actual balance. It will
This
show
is
the
not
last
your
transaction.
permitting. This is not your permitting. Government doesn't tell you to permit it. Did the government tell you to permit it?
Sir, I am auto driver.
No. This is the
Then they
part
should
of
ban
the
it,
obligation.
Rajendran. They should ban it. They should ban them then. If they are not, government, if RBI is not regulating them, they should be banned. How can they access my bank balance sheet and they're showing it, sir? I am
It's a
paying.
commercial, bilateral contractual obligation between Google Pay and the consumer. The consumer says okay, then Google Pay handles this particular balance part of my database and give it to me. Google Pay is doing it because you wanted Google Pay to do it. Isn't it?
No, sir. No, sir. No, no. Here.
What is the
One minute, sir. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Pakistan starts. Pakistan will
One at a time, sir. One at a time.
No, any country which is opposing India.
Rajendran ji, 1 second.
Facebook is there. Gmail is there.
1 second, sir.
No,
Gmail.
I
Sir,
understood.
sir.
I understood. I have given the
Sir,
No,
1
I
second.
have given the permission to the Google Pay to access my account and show the balance. The Google Pay is showing. I don't object this thing. Tomorrow, a company which is opposite to Indian government starts an app, and that app has been installed by me, and I give the permission to that particular app, and that particular app will access the Indian bank service and show me the balance. Is that you are trying to say, sir?
It is your account, it's your permitting. When you permit your account,
Which means I should be educated.
your house lock, when you are giving your house key to somebody, that
Right,
is
right,
your
right.
house. Your property is inside. You are giving the key to somebody. Then why you
Right.
claim the ground?
I understood. I am a common man. I don't have much of education knowledge. I'm an auto driver. I install this app and I give all sorts of permission. They'll steal my money and the government will not be responsible for that also because I have given the permission. I don't know what is the permission I am giving. The government will not be responsible for all these things. Correct?
Correct.
Naturally,
That is the question today. Can I
that is the same thing the American government or the any other government which is a controlled.
Why do you go?
I'll complete this sentence.
1 minute. Can I come in? Can I come in?
You can't say that I'm driving a 350cc vehicle. I don't know driving. I take the vehicle and drive on a national highway road. Then I don't know what are the features in my car, what are the features in my vehicle and all that. But the government has given me a license. I'm driving. Then I make the accident. But the government road.
No, government has not given license. Government is making these cars or bikes legally available in the country. That is why I am buying. If government is there to take care of my needs in a proper way, government is a big regulator of all the things. But if government shuns its duty and allows all this,
Yeah, please, sir. Ravichandran, sir.
When you buy the car, you should be aware of the
1 minute, Mr. Rajendran. 1 minute.
yeah. Go
1
ahead.
minute. I will answer all your questions now. Number 1, Reserve Bank of India has
1 second, sir. 1 second.
circular in 2012.
Just possibly another 2-3
Reserve Bank
minutes.
of India has. Excuse me, Mr. Rajendran. Let
Yeah.
me continue.
Yeah.
Reserve Bank of India has given a circular in 2012 asking the banks to improve their security. How many banks have complied with that? So let us not talk about Reserve Bank circulars. Reserve Bank circulars are as good as used toilet papers by the banks. They don't follow it. Number 1. Regarding your question, Mr. Logesh,
One second, Rajendran ji, let him complete. Rajendran ji, let him complete. Then you,
let me finish.
because you are been.
Objection,
Logesh Babu,
please.
let me come to your this thing. Today, if money from your account is lost, the bank says you go and file a case in the police station. I am asking the bank people, what is my local standing? The bank, when I deposit money in the bank, the relationship between the bank and me is between a debtor and a creditor. The bank is the debtor and I am the creditor. It is the business of the bank as a debtor to take care of the money as long as it is in their account. If they are not authenticating it properly, then it is a bank's problem, not my problem. So why should I be held responsible for that? And for the third question that you asked, as an auto driver, I am using it, for which Mr. Rajendran said that if you drive a 350cc motorcycle, Mr. Rajendran, I don't want to drive a 350cc motorcycle. I am prepared to go on a cycle. The government says you have to go on a 350cc motorcycle.
That is what even I am saying.
When I go on that road, the government puts a speed breaker on that without any signal and I fall. The government says, who asked you to drive that 350cc vehicle? It does not talk about the speed breaker that it is illegally put there. It is always the customer who gets
available, I'll be able to purchase, right?
Today, the Prime Minister has said inclusive banking. For a person who is herding sheep in Ramnad, what does he know about? He is not even able to put a signature. He is a fingerprint expert. And you ask him to memorize a password, go to the ATM, take the money, and you expect him to go into the fine print of the banking system, and the bank will point out to some small thing in the things which says that customer is responsible in English.
Much more clearer view. There is no shop in my area or in my state without a QR code.
That is yes. Without QR code, there is no shop. And I am adding one more point. If you fail in your payments, one EMI, they are giving all your data from bank to CIBIL. Who is that bloody CIBIL? I mean, who is that CIBIL is? Because bank is sharing, sir.
I myself had a huge lot of questions regarding with CIBIL, and I used to discuss a lot about that topic to Mr. Rajendran, sir.
Bank can share. Sir, bank is sharing my data, sir. Bank is sharing my personal agreement with the bank with the third party.
I have my own personal experience on CIBIL.
No, sir.
Businessman.
Credit Information Bureau. No, sir. 1 second. Credit Information Bureau Limited. Sir, credit.
A small sentence, sir.
Sir,
I am
please.
a businessman doing business for 10 years and I get loan for various banks. Lakhs and lakhs of credit has been given to me. One certain day I met an accident and lost my complete business. After 2-3 years, I cannot able to pay my debts back. It might be in lakhs also. CIBIL scores comes to zero. A criminal who is doing a huge lot of criminal activities, it might be murder also, goes to the prison, stays there for 7 years and comes back. His CIBIL score is very high. He gets a loan for 5 lakh rupees. As a businessman, I don't get a loan even for a 50,000 rupees since my CIBIL score is less. This CIBIL score controls all, we can view all financial transactions done in any banks. I till now had a doubt. This CIBIL score does not belong.
CIBIL speaks about your loan.
No, sir. Very bad, sir. No. Rajendran ji, this is very bad. How does CIBIL?
Not under government control. RBI does not control. Even in other countries, CIBIL is there, but for a particular period. After 5 years, that will become a 0-1, and from there again my CIBIL score increases. In India, we don't know. After 8 years also, it shows that the same old CIBIL scores. Still, people are getting a huge struggle in solving the CIBIL score issues. I don't know how the bank does operate. None of the nationalist bankers are part of the CIBIL scores. Please understand.
Logesh Babu, I'll come back to your
data is not in India.
No, Mr. Logesh Babu, I'll come back to your point regarding data stored in outside servers. CIBIL, TransUnion Bank is in US. None
Yes.
of the Indian banks, they were ordinary
That point has to be
shareholders and
noted.
sold it to TransUnion. And if TransUnion is able to access my loan account or bank account, that means my data in this bank is going out of the country. How do you say it
Yes.
is localized?
Yes, sir. This topic,
Yes, the point
Ravichandran ji. No, no. We will have, sir. Ravichandran ji. We will.
have a full program itself on civil.
Yeah, that's
Civil, I
what.
think we are drifting away.
Yes, Rajendran ji. Next show will be entirely purely on Sibyl, because let people understand how I am quoting, because I am a petitioner on various aspects. Anil Ambani, all of a sudden, Realcom is closed, and he goes to all those banks and he says, I am broke. But his CIBIL score is so high, he gets away with loans and loans, public issues, and again he gets various orders in Rafael. When I am missing one EMI, banks are sharing my data, nationalized banks. I am quoting Indian Bank and so many other banks, though I have paid regularly, they have messed up and they are sharing my data with CIBIL. In spite of being very regular, because I have these passbooks wherein every data is there, everything is there, they cannot escape the wrath. But yes, we will come back to CIBIL. But before we say bye, next issue we will exclusively have on CIBIL. But as you rightly said,
Thank you.
the data is not at all with India. Atmanirbhar ho ya make in India, without having our own indigenous technology to control such. Whether it is Google Pay, that Pay, or the Paytm, whatever it is, our data is not safe and sacred. So we will discuss CIBIL and how America, through this Ukraine, has gone for an autolysis, self-destruction mode we call. But they are not destroying themselves, they are destroying someone else. So India, what should India do? We have brought out all the facts and figures. What will India do? Did India become smart like China and Russia? Why we could not become like that? What happened to BOSS, our own, as he said, OS, operating system, which Abdul Kalam ji has started? Why are we not having our own indigenous technology wherein we can control our own economy, our own reserves? And what about that gold which is still lying in London? Mr. Modi and Mr. Sitaraman ji, they should answer all the political parties, because political parties, politicians, they have no knowledge at all. When we are doing out crypto in November, when me and Rajendran ji, they were laughing at us, some people poking. Now they are asking, searching for those videos. See, this is what is happening. I'm very sorry, state of affairs, because we have no personal grudge against anyone, because we are discussing this issue threadbare, absolutely as per rule of law, Constitution invoking Evidential Act, so that we are safe. We have to win at home to conquer the world. If our home is not safe, our home is in the hands of someone else, you talk at the top of voice in any election meeting, Atmanirbhar, Make in India, how it is going to happen? Yes, sir. Ravichandran ji, you want to conclude with one sentence.
Basically, I wanted to conclude by saying the dollar is declining. And to your original question to Mr. Rajendran, we are looking at a new economic world order where there will not be any single SWIFT payment, there will be multiple SWIFT systems. And if they start competing against each other, then there is every chance that something will go wrong somewhere. That is the first thing. Second thing is, like I said, the American dollar is declining. In all probability, the Chinese yuan or renminbi will replace the American dollar. Then it is high time that we started learning Chinese Mandarin language.
But our Prime Minister says we are fighting China. But believe me, all our major corporates have investments in China. They have all MOUs with China. Everything technology is being from China.
All I can tell the Prime Minister is, I am ready to fight China in their own language.
That is a wonderful take from this show.
That is the only way that I can think about. And America is something like Nirav Modi, who was keeping paste diamonds and taking money from Punjab Sindh Bank. These people are giving substandard gold in their reserves and telling that they have got 8,155 tons of gold. What is the difference between Nirav Modi and America now? I don't see any difference.
That's a big statement coming. I think at least now Indian government should focus on winning home. Win at home to conquer the world. only then people will be safe and secure. Likewise, we are not going to impose anything on any others if it is a global village concept. Live and let live policy, but in a transparent and accountable way. Don't forget, Indians, American President Biden has already initiated a move in regards to crypto. Why? Is it because of Ukraine and Russian threat? And is it the dollar declining? Yes, Lokesh Babuji, you conclude.
One small point to be noted, sir.
Conclude, sir.
During the time when the cryptocurrency started, that is more than 1,334 cryptocurrency. Bitcoins is equal to $1. Now the in Indian currency, one cryptocurrency is 29,80,000 and odd. So everyone should get a fear on their own currencies. Not only American dollar is declining, everyone should get afraid of the cryptocurrencies. What exactly cryptocurrencies mean?
Yeah,
So that is the point I'd like to conclude. That nothing else.
all the three.
Probably we should start our own cryptocurrency.
Start your own cryptocurrency, Indians. Why not? We can do it.
With all the data service somewhere recorded in some other country, not in India.
Not in India.
Not in
Not
India.
in India.
So whatever it is,
Even the cryptocurrency are not going to change.
even cryptocurrency is not going to change. It will not be in make in India. Atmanirbhar.
Yes.
Then how will you survive? That is a
Yes.
$1 million question. Because when the dollar is declining, now can you start saying $1 million question or $1 million dash dash currency question? I leave it to your own judgment, because this is not show limited to just India. The world over, all our NRI brothers and sisters who have been working very hard for their fortunes, leaving their motherland, now everyone has to fear what is happening in the wake of Ukraine war. Everything is out in this with this show. I only hope you will start quizzing your mind, your intellect, because it is your fortune which is at stake. Thank you, gentlemen, and we will have a retelecast on Citizens Dr. TSPR channel definitely with the flyer. And don't worry, me and Rajendran, what we have done on November, we have already safely saved data also. The data is there with us. We will do all this in a series on this channel, and the next time,
Thank you.
until and unless some drastic happens when it comes to dollar or yuan or Indian rupee, we will have Sibyl with the same panelists. We will discuss about Sibyl. It is a common minds,
Sure. Sure.
common man's, common citizens' concern world over. So we will
It
have.
has to be discussed.
It has to be discussed. We will certainly discuss it.
Thank you.
And along with that, there were certain other interesting, wonderful topics which we are going to come with these panelists. Thanks a lot for having you, such a wonderful panelist, sir. Once again, you have made the day for all the Indians and the citizens world over. Take care, sir. Take care for all the
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ravi, sir. Thank you, Rajendran.
for all the Indians. For all the Indians, I will say, whether it is Make in India, Atmanirbhar, at least you have Sukha Nidra Shubharatri. For world over, good morning, good afternoon,
Thank you.
and good evening. Bye, sir.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind, sir. Jai Hind.